Hey there, friends and listeners of Right Off Track. Let me introduce you to the incredible Tim Beehler, a guy who's all about exploring life's many twists and turns. Seriously, his curiosity knows no bounds. From diving into sound engineering to rolling up his sleeves in steel mills, from tinkering with aquaponics to leading as a pastor, Tim's done it all. But here's the real kicker. Tim's superpower is taking complex stuff that actually works and breaking it down so anyone can get it. He's like a strategy detective, uncovering the secrets behind success and then serving it up in bite sized, easy to understand nuggets. He's the kind of guy who's wired to think outside the box and sees opportunities where others might miss them. From biogas to digital marketing, Tim's journey has been a wild ride of exploration. But that's not all. Tim's the go to guy for branding. He's all about helping clients discover who they are, explore unique approaches, and then showing them how to make it all shine. His proven strategies can transform your brand and revenue streams in ways that just make sense. So let's embark on this adventure of discovery together. And now, without further ado, let's dive into the mind of a passionate strategy detective and learn how he transformed his boundless curiosity into both purpose and a thriving professional journey. Please join me in welcoming the one and only Tim Beehler. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for the intro. I'm way cooler in the intro than I am in person. I promise you.
I don't think so. You're so fun. Can I share how we met? Just like
Yeah.
the random
Yeah.
background. So this is one of those things where like serendipity means like technology and opportunity through technology and connection. So we met on Threads.
Yes.
Right? I believe that's what it was. It was just
Yeah.
like random, like entrepreneurial kind of vibe going on. And then you were mentioning that I think we talked about podcasting and whatnot. And then like I saw you posting all this great stuff. I was like, okay, we have to collaborate. Let's do
Mhm.
something together. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
And here we are.
From threads to here, like that's
Yeah.
almost as big a leap as my normal life. So it makes sense to me.
Threading the connection. You'd be shocked. I met somebody from Nigeria who does a podcast there. So I'm going to be talking on a radio show in Nigeria
Oh,
because of a thread connection.
yeah.
So if you're not that you have to even go on threads, but embrace the connection of the people all around the world. It's powerful.
So that's actually I don't know where we're gonna go today, but that's been to
Perfect.
me that's been like the magic of social media, um, and how I'm building my business out has been access to people. And I don't mean that in like a creepy way, like I can like proposition people and spam them or whatever, but like just access to people like that you don't on a day-to-day basis because you don't rub shoulders with them because you're not in those rooms because just whatever location or geography or business, whatever, access to people. And what I have found for the most part is the vast majority of people are receptive and open to conversation, chatting back and forth, whatever. It's easier to build cool relationships with people you would have never met.
Do you have, I'm sure you maybe have a strategy for this. I would assume. But is there something that you found works when you reach out with new people? Because what doesn't work, and no offense to anybody, is like I get people like, "Hello, how are you?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, but I'm a mom of 3 boys, and I'm trying to do
Right.
this. It's hard for me to respond to somebody I don't know who's just like a hello." So
Yes.
no offense to you, but that's just the real life. What works for
Yeah.
you?
So I think of like two things specifically: genuine interest and making it easy for them to say yes. So low
Mm,
barrier to entry, and then like personalizing it, like, hey, I read this thing that you talked about and it was really interesting, or I watched this thing, or this piece of content, or this idea, or I saw your comment, or like that's interesting, as opposed to like I know what a lot of people do is they're like, hey, I'm really cool and I want to be on your podcast, or hey, you do this great thing, could you get me a conversation with somebody else? So it's all about like me, but like genuine interest,
yeah.
and then an easy yes, like, could you tell me where that thought came from or what that experience was like? Just those things.
I love it. So easy, and so yet for some reason, like that people have different approaches, but this one works. So definitely try it
Yeah.
out. And you've gathered a lot of knowledge and a lot of strategies now, but I'm sure there was kind of a learning process along the way. And we mentioned a variety of experiences that predated this. Can you give me anywhere you want to go with this? Like, what was this path leading you to now doing this business?
Yeah, it was really interesting. So it started, it really started in 2017. 2019 is
Mhm.
when it really started. My
Wow.
buddy had started a podcast, and it was fantastic. Like, he told great stories. He's got one of those voices where you want him to read you to sleep, right? Like, it was just
Oh,
one of those.
ooh.
But then he could tie it all together at the end with like this gut punch of introspection. And so I loved it. And I was like, dude, what are you doing with this? Like, how are you getting it out there to the world? He's like, well, I just, I create it and I post it, I publish it, whatever. And at that time, my level of social media savvy was I had a Facebook account that I didn't use.
Cool.
So what I told him was like, all right, I'm going to figure out social media so that we can get your message out, because it's too cool to not be heard. And so I
Mhm.
created an Instagram page for him. I'd never used Instagram before. And over the course of like 6 months or 3 months or something like that, I made 500 posts, like just
Oh,
crazy amount of posting, right? Just trying to figure out what works and how to create and, conversation
wow.
starters. It was just crazy learning. And like 95% of them were garbage. But I was kind of feeling my way into something. And eventually, anyways, we were able to build his thing up. But it got me a bug for this. And then in 2020, when COVID hit, I was a pastor at a church, and we had to move to online solely.
Yeah.
And we had a very small online presence, both social media and like live streaming services.
Mhm.
And so I was in charge of technology and communications, and then also in charge of like our live events. And so I had to really quickly learn how to live stream stuff and how to, build out our email platform so that people are getting information because they're not able to show
Yeah.
up. And so I really, really quickly learned digital marketing and digital experience. And I found out I really like that. And I just kind of melded that with my other skill sets to I started to morph into more branding and brand strategy, and that's kind of how I got to where I am in a nutshell.
Yeah. I hear a lot of like you make it sound so like natural and easy, but going through it, like there's a lot of times like, oh, like darn it, like this could be better. We just talked about this a
Oh
moment
yeah,
ago, right? If I was so, it is hard. I'm not like, oh, this is so easy. But if I got so caught up to where like I needs to be perfect, or like I look at something and it's not ideal, and I'm like I should just give up, like I would never even be here, like
yeah,
nowhere
absolutely.
close. So could you share like what has maybe helped you have this not just curiosity, but this element of perseverance and like,
Mm,
buoyancy to get through all that? Because
yeah,
it sucks. It sucks when you're like, I just don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
yeah. So there's two things I always talk about with clients, because to me they're kind of the key to the whole thing. Um, Working hard to be able to define or at least articulate two things: your purpose and your vision. When you
Mm,
have those, you have long-term trajectory, right? So it's not, hey, this thing is working now or isn't working now, I should quit and try something else. It's no, there's a building block towards X, right? And so that vision and those purpose, they're generally large, they're generally long-term, and they're generally inexhaustible. So it's like, if your vision is, sell 10 paper clips, you know, my hope is that you will achieve that, and it'll probably happen pretty quickly. So when your vision's over, you're like, oh, what do I do now with my life? So if the vision is long term and it's based on your purpose, like who you really are, then everything is building in that direction, right? You kind of start with like that wide funnel, and you're moving towards a smaller point. So all the mess ups kind
mm,
of help you get there.
yeah.
So that's kind of how I've seen it. Like, I understand what my purpose is, and then I can see it as it kind of moves through things. And it's
Yeah.
not held by one thing specifically, by an industry or a job
Yeah.
title or a career path or whatever.
I love that. Well, thank you for sharing your purpose with us. And thank you to everybody listening. I hope you found some inspiration, some awesome strategy insights, and that you make your personal journey even more fulfilling through this journey with us. Thank you again, and look forward to another adventure with Right Off Track next time. Take care, and thank you, Tim.
Thank you.